Hey everyone! So I'm on my balcony right now and I'm trying to distract you with a nice view here because I kind of don't want you to see what my vegetable garden looks like right now. It's kind of a mess and life gets in the way, get busy, and I've been really busy the past 3 months and I've neglected this garden and it looks like a mess. I am going to show you though because I want to show you that nothing is ever lost for good with gardening. You can always grow more plants, you can always plant more seeds, you can always make more compost. So let's take a look. Okay. No judgment though. Okay, there she is. My beautiful neglected balcony vegetable garden. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind about growing in containers is that it does require a little bit more maintenance because these containers are a very limited space and they do get prone to both overwatering and underwatering. And every time you water and the extra water drains out from the bottom, you're leaching nutrients out of the pot. So you have to replenish the nutrients regularly with fertilizers or compost. Now, at the community garden, it's a whole different story because the community garden has such amazing growing conditions. I mean, I've got really great sunlight there. The soil is so rich because I've added compost to it over time, and I have mulch over everything, so it protects the soil from the harsh sun. It protects it from drying out. So even in the winter time, I can be gone for a whole week, and the community garden just does fine. It thrives. But here it's a totally different story. Okay, so let's take a look. I've got strawberries, which are, gosh, barely alive. Now, strawberries do go dormant over the winter, but that's usually in colder climates. But I don't know if this is kind of a lost cause with this one here. Now, these are still alive, but in much need of fertilizing and pruning. I don't think I'm going to keep the strawberries anymore. They just don't produce very well. I had strawberries in here too. Again, not doing well. It's just, oh boy, I think it might still be alive, but plants have really surprised me a lot. There have been plants that I swore were just dead and eventually they just come back to life. So this right here is parsley. It's the only thing that's done well on this balcony. They do pretty well in the cooler months, and they do okay with partial shade, which is why I think it did okay here. Now on this balcony, it's a west-facing balcony, but during the middle of winter, I barely get any sunlight. I get maybe 2 hours of sunlight at most. But now as it gets towards springtime, I'm going to get more sunlight, so my plants will do much better. Okay, I got strawberry here. Oh my goodness! I just saw this. Look at all these little tiny romaine lettuce volunteer plants. I think I had a romaine lettuce plant in here at some point and the seeds must have fallen down. And look at these little baby romaine lettuce plants. How cute is that? This one I tried to grow as celery, but it died. And I've got a whole nother mess of strawberries here. Again, I'm going to clear out most of my strawberry plants and just start fresh with those. Here I have a Walla Walla onion that was left over. I pulled out all the other onions that I had, but I must have forgotten this and it just kept growing. Right here I've got another strawberry, again just looking pretty sad. I don't even remember what I had in here, but whatever it was, it's gone now. And now this was a raspberry volunteer plant that looks pretty bad. I mean, they've got little volunteer raspberry plants coming up from here. I don't think I'm going to keep this. I mean, it might, oh, it is still alive. It might come back, as the weather warms up, but I just don't think it's worth, taking up this little space for something that may not even really produce any good fruit. So that's going to go. Now, this container you've seen before, I did a whole video on this, on how to refresh a container garden. I had beautiful romaine lettuce that I ate and harvested and ate, and this was just the leftover plants that stayed behind after I harvested, and now they're bolting. And these are the green onions that, through the winter, they just really slowed down with their growth. This right here is a bok choy plant that went to seed. And this is what it's supposed to do at the end, near the end of its life. And these little pods right here are full of seeds. And I'm going to let these fully dry off, and then I'm going to harvest these seeds and we can plant them again. Actually, we're still in bok choy season. I could plant them right away or save them for the fall. These two plants right here, these are not weeds. These are romaine lettuces that went to seed, and they are going to produce tons and tons of seeds. And guess what? We're going to be eating salad, eating lots of salad. Okay, right here we have really sad looking beets that didn't get enough sunlight, didn't get enough fertilizer, and this is as big as they got. They never really grew. And let me just pull one out just to see how it looks. And there's a tiny beet right there. It's super tiny. Well, still bigger than I thought it was going to be. But I'm going to pull all this out and refresh all of these containers. Now this right here is spinach, or it was. It just got baked in the sun and I didn't water it enough. Now spinach does require a lot of water. And so what I like to do with these types of containers, I like to take the plants out. If I'm not going to eat the plants, I chop them up into small pieces and I just leave it in the pot, and then I cover it with finished compost mixed with either perlite or vermiculite, and then I just let it sit for a couple of weeks. And as all this plant matter breaks down, it'll add nutrients back into the pot, and then I can, plant something new in these containers. So this is actually perfect timing because we're getting ready for spring, and I have a lot of things I want to grow in this spring and summer. So we're going to just do a complete overhaul of all this. I'm going to keep just a few of the things like the green onions because they'll keep growing and we can still eat them. But I'm going to get rid of all the strawberries and plant something new. Well, let's get to work. Okay, let's start with these strawberries. everyone. So it's been about 5 weeks since I redid my container garden, and you know what? I got tricked. I got tricked pretty bad because it got warm in February for a couple of weeks, and I thought, oh my gosh, spring is here, I'm so happy. And then it got cold for 5 more weeks. So a lot of my seeds either didn't sprout or they sprouted and then just really struggled. So I ended up having to pull some of them out and plant new seeds. So, but you know what? That's how Mother Nature is. You know, nature teaches us to be flexible because we don't ever really know what's coming. And you know, that's okay. We're just gonna go with the flow. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so here is about half of my container garden. The other half is in my other balcony. And so let's see what we got here. So let's start with this. I've got some beautiful looking bok choy. Right now is a good time to start bok choy. Doesn't the soil look beautiful? Oh my gosh, the soil looks so good. It's so rich and it's just so fluffy and soft. Oh my gosh, love the soil. Okay, I've got some more bok choy here, some green onions. And this is the rosemary plant that I rescued from the grocery store. Okay, up here I've got a nice looking bok choy, and this right here, you guys, this is quite a mess. Oh, let's take a look. So this right here, these are all tomatoes. We've got tomatoes, and then this is some volunteer cantaloupes. Oh, we got some more romaine lettuce. I have romaine lettuce everywhere, you guys. Oh, this is the first volunteer pepper of the year. All of these tomatoes right here, you guys, I did not plant a single one of these plants in here. These are all volunteers from my compost. What I originally planted in here were bok choy. So the few bok choy that came up, I scooped them out, I transplanted them, but look at all these tomatoes. Oh my gosh. You know what? I never plant tomato seeds. Every year they just come up on their own from my compost. I never ever have to buy tomato plants or seeds or even plant any seeds. I mean, my compost just does all the work for me. And so I'm going to separate some of these out. This is more tomatoes than I could ever grow. I'm going to see if any of my friends and family want any tomato plants, but I'm only going to keep a few of these. I just don't have the space for all of them. And then these are these volunteer cantaloupes. I just don't have the space. I'm so curious about how these would end up growing because cantaloupes and melons in general, and also squashes, they hybridize really easily. So if they get pollinated by a bee that carries pollen from a different variety, you know, for example, like a melon and a cucumber can hybridize and create some weird funky hybrid, or even something like a squash and a cucumber, or a squash and a melon. Any of those in the cucurbit family can hybridize with each other. So I would be so curious. If I had the space, I would grow some of these because I'm so curious to see whether I would actually get cantaloupes or some weird funky hybrid. But I don't have the space for that right now. But anyway, okay, we got a lot of tomatoes to separate out and transplant to large containers. But I'm really excited about that. Tomatoes, to me, are the first real sign of spring. Peppers, on the hand, for me, are a sign of summer. Is summer coming, or am I getting tricked again? Who knows? We'll see. Okay. So here I've got some sugar snap peas looking beautiful. Made my own little makeshift trellis with just bamboo poles and some string. Okay, so over here I've got lots of romaine lettuces. These are seeds that I just saved from the last batch, and you can plant them right away. And my gosh, they just grow so beautifully. This is chives, and for some reason they only grew in this clump right here, so I just put in some more seeds along here to fill in this space. And right here, this is a volunteer papaya. I don't have space for it, so I'm probably not going to keep it, but I get papayas, pomegranates, strawberries. I get all kinds of volunteer plants all over this place. Okay, this is curly kale. These plants will grow quite large, so even 4 of these is a lot for me. I don't even have the space to keep all 4. This is daikon radish, and this is Grand Rapids lettuce. Down here I've got some pole beans, and these are more volunteer cantaloupes. So I've got volunteer cantaloupes growing everywhere all over my garden because I put it in my compost, and I have just a couple of bamboo poles that they can climb onto. This is my old raspberry bush. And that's it. This just shows you that nothing is lost forever. You can always redo a neglected garden. You can always transform it and bring it back to life, and it will give you food for years to come. So I hope you guys like this video. So I hope you guys stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe.